Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
It is probably not a surprise to you that we are living in interesting times, I guess, as the proverb goes, or as the ancient Chinese blessing/curse goes. When we talk about the sort of current environment that we live in, you'll find that across the entire spectrum of the human condition, there are differing sets of beliefs. And my supposition here for your consideration is that human beings develop and grow in a directional way. So they grow from being, let's say, when they're infants, they're not sure how the world works. They are superstitious. They behave in a certain way that is kind of a model for the way the world works, and you grow through it, and you don't go backwards. Right. So you grow through that superstitious model. You grow through that believing in magic. You grow through the belief in things like Santa Claus and stuff like that, and you don't go back. Now, those beliefs may remain unexamined in certain domains of your life. You may still have superstitions. That's not to suggest that you don't. But what will happen is you will no longer rely on superstition for your basic needs. You will not push those superstitious beliefs into the stuff that you've learned how to solve as an individual, right? So you've become agentic in a given space. And as you grow, you really can't sort of go back. Your brain won't fit in the same spot. There is the Platonic allegory of the cave. There are all sorts of examples just philosophically for you to explore that point to the fact that growth and development as an individual is directional and irreversible. So that's not to say you can't have a behavioral regression, but the worldview stuff, the meaningful changes to the way you see the world, typically don't go backwards. So what does that mean, and why is that important to the current sort of overall zeitgeist of our society right now? What it points to is an understanding that everyone develops through periods of prejudicial contempt, through periods of a deterministic worldview, through periods where you have to demonize your enemies based on what they look like or what they act like, without taking direct personal responsibility. These worldviews that you're going to cycle through, they happen. Right. So, and they happen to everyone. You are required by virtue of growth and development to essentially grow through all of the stages of the human condition that everyone else in this world has grown through. You grow through a tribal phase. More often than not, that happens in your teenage years, where, you have a sort of a leader of the tribe, and the way you interact and behave has tribal components. You go through a feudal phase. You go through all sorts of different sort of societal models internally for how the world works. This is reasonably well documented if you go out and look at any of the studies out there. Piaget is probably the easiest and most accessible, but I like Ken Wilber. I like Graves and Beck. It doesn't really matter. The idea though is you do grow and you do develop, and it is directional, which means the folks that have a worldview that is different than yours are in one of two locations. They are either behind you developmentally or ahead of you developmentally. And it becomes your role as a Mason, as someone who's trying to become a better person, to understand which is which, right? When we look at an understanding of the way the world works, you increase accountability as you grow developmentally. So this means when you get to be well-developed as an individual, you take accountability for all the things, right? It doesn't matter whose fault it is. I have the agentic response. I can go fix it. I can go take care of it. This is not to be confused with martyr complexes or any of that kind of stuff. But this sort of radical accountability where you don't run away from the adversities the world presents, nor do you assign fault to individuals against those adversities. You just are present in the moment and you respond. That level of development will essentially be a higher order of thinking, and that happens as you grow and develop, right? So you get to that level of agentic, sort of global or universal level accountability response, where you do what you can to solve the problems of the world in a given domain. Now, you don't develop evenly across all the domains of the human condition. Typically, that is you kind of develop a little bit over here, you develop a little bit over there. Your emotional intelligence might be outrageous. Your kinesthesiological intelligence might be absolutely awful. Like me, I'm a potato. When you start to do this, though, and you round out your growth and you start growing in certain ways, you'll see the holes in other people's limits of their personal accountability. You'll notice that they, refuse to look at these parts of their life, or they refuse to look at the results that this behavior has created. Your role as a Mason, as somebody who's trying to become a better person through the process of self-discovery, through the process of appreciative inquiry, should be to talk to people and determine as much as you can the ways in which their worldview enables them and prohibits their growth. And then obviously take the good stuff and discard the stuff you don't need. As you do this, you'll find that you grow developmentally. The one thing I can say before we wrap this up is you definitely do not want to point out the holes in somebody else's worldview. It starts a conversation that doesn't win. What you can do is help them experience the benefits of your worldview through the actions that you take, and don't get into the whole sort of rhetorical fight that comes with defending dogmas and stuff like that. As you do this, as you create this sort of meaningful, appreciative inquiry, you'll find that you're able to grow at an accelerated rate, which should help all of us move the ball forward.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.